Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another Supatease video. And in this one, we've got an exciting 10.1 update. This is Season 2 of Dragonflight. There's going to be new PvP gear introduced into this patch, as well as a giant post from Blizzard that's really letting us know how they're thinking about the game and how they're going to want to go forward with the game, because they seem to be a lot more introspective than they have been in the past, where sometimes systems would be introduced and it would be, this is the way that it is, we know best. And it's not going to change. This is going to be the way that's going to be, but they're changing some really big systems in this update, and you're going to know exactly all about it by the end of this video. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm personally really excited about is this new PvP gear that they're going to be introducing to the game. So you know the crafted pieces of gear, if you've played in Season 1, that you can make. It looks like you'll be able to make those crafted pieces of gear as well into the next patch, and there's going to be new embellishments on those PvP pieces. And one of those embellishments, which a lot of us we already know, is going to be the precognition. So this is going to be a way to get like an extra enchant on your crafted gear that will proc precognition. And there's also going to be a non-caster one. So this doesn't have any specifics yet for it. It's just called NYI, not caster PvP embellishment. So if it's even close to as good as precognition is for casters, maybe it's not going to be a caster meta. Like, this is one thing I think a lot of people were concerned about, was like, what about melee DPS? You know, they're missing their kicks and they're getting thrown away by all these casters. It looks like you're also going to have an embellishment here that is going to help you as a melee DPS. And this way, it also will help you avoid having to do any of the PvE grind if you don't want to do it, because you're going to be able to get these currencies for honor and conquest, as you can see, called the Lesser Trophy of Conquest, Greater Trophy of Conquest, or even honor, to be upgrading these crafted pieces with these embellishments in them in order to kind of just like dominate in PvP. So I'm really excited for this system. I was a bit worried that there was a lot of this stuff coming in and we weren't really seeing a lot that was going on with how is PvP going to be slotted into dealing with this. And talking about how PvP is going to be slotted into dealing with this comes with the tier set acquisition retrospective post that they have made. And this is a gigantic wall of text where they talk about the creation catalyst that came out in Shadowlands and the mistakes that it feels like happened along with it, and what they're going to be doing moving forward. So you may remember at the beginning of Dragonflight here, it felt pretty rough to be able to get tier gear, especially if you played only Mythic Plus or you played only PvP. Your odds of getting your 4-set bonus before this catalyst came out was really lucky, if not bordering impossible. Not to mention that the raid difficulty was so high that a lot of people weren't even able to clear the raid successfully to get to these tier bosses. So not many people, if any, had these set bonuses available to them. So they've realized that this was a pain point, and they're going to be going back and in Season 2 addressing this by adding an Omni token to the raid. So the last raid tier boss is going to be dropping an extra loot table of tier gear that you're going to be able to go after. They're also going to make it so that the catalyst charges do not require a quest. You will just get a charge from the catalyst every week just by logging in, an account-wide charge. So you'll be able to catch up really easily, because that was a really big problem, actually, that maybe went under the radar for a lot of people, was that if you didn't complete a quest, it didn't like save up. You couldn't just like do 2 of them the next week. You were just a week of quests behind, and then you really couldn't keep up with the rest of the game or get back into the game in terms of getting your tier gear. So this is really good to eliminate that, because that was definitely a big pain point from Season 1. So I'm happy that they've looked at that. And they also address the fact that PvP player only players and Mythic Plus only players were going to be having a really tough time in order to get their tier gear. So they're going to be giving a more of a deterministic oriented way of getting a tier piece in Season 2. And that's going to be the Season 2 Master. It is awarded for clearing Aberrus from the raid, the Shadow Crucible and heroic difficulty, or obtaining 2200 Mythic Plus rating or 1800 PvP rating. Doing so awards that character a Draconic Mark of Mastery, an item that can be turned into a vendor for any heroic level class set item of your choice. So I do wonder if this means that we won't be able to upgrade it with the PvP. Like if we get a PvP piece and we use it on a PvP piece, will it be a PvP pieces tier that we can upgrade? I guess it doesn't. Well, it kind of matters because the PvE gear doesn't scale up to the same max item level, right? Even if you upgrade it, I don't think it scales all the way up. So hopefully this does convert a piece of gear that comes from PvP into a PvP tier piece, so that way it will be upgraded to the maximum item level in PvP. Otherwise, you'll get your tier set, but it'll be 2 item levels. It's still better, but again, like, why would you want that little bit of an edge would be my only possible criticism for this. I have to wait and see if it comes through. I'm just happy that there's a better way of actually getting your tier gear, because for a lot of classes, not having it is going to be a really big deal. And I'll have a video at the end of this one that talks about all the tier sets that could really determine whether your class is going to be godly or just kind of like pretty average. But the main thing that I took away from this post is that it feels like a completely different Blizzard, and I mean, this is maybe since the end of Shadowlands, now moving forward into Dragonflight, is that this approach it wasn't just like a one-off where like they're trying to win people over and then they immediately go back to kind of like, we know best, we're only doing this and this has to be the only way that it's done kind of deal. It's a consistent ongoing change that is aimed at improving the pain points that are identified by the community and even identified by themselves from playing the game, which is really refreshing to see. I really like this open-ended discussion. It reminds me of kind of like the what were they called with Ghostcrawler and Wrath of the Lich King, where you go like where you get the water in the office talk or something with Ghostcrawler. I really liked that. So I'll have this linked in the description down below if you do want to read it, because like as I've said, it's a very detailed and big piece. I just really wanted to cover over the specifics of it and the fact and sort of like the attitude that had been applied to this, because this was a massive post in terms of detailed ways of knowing like how they're thinking about the game and what they're focusing on and what they're trying to fix. So with all these pain point fixes, I really think that season 2 could be a lot of fun. My hope, though, that got pointed out to me as well, is that it seems like some world PvP stuff is not carrying forward into 10.0.7 or 10.1 possibly, with the new Unforbidden Reach zone coming out. It looks like there's not going to be any world PvP kind of like incorporation, whether it be the payload drops or a PvP quest, which I'm kind of disappointed, because I really liked world PvP. Like some of my entertaining videos that I upload here have been world PvP videos. So I was really hoping that this new zone would have maybe a quest, or at least have that weekly quest that sends you to get 100 sparks or whatever from the zone to go to that zone, just to get like a new area to explore and some new terrain to fight other players with. So I'm kind of hoping that they do incorporate at least a tiny bit of world PvP into the new zones that they're coming out with, just to liven things up in terms of the atmosphere and the environment, would be my criticism towards that. But I'm very excited about this gearing change. I'm very glad that they're taking into consideration PvPers, the fact that a lot of us would rather just be able to stick in PvP, or even Mythic Plus players as well, just stick in Mythic Plus, do the things in the game that they like to do, and progress their characters on same terms to that of raiders with this gearing acquisition, as well as all of this crafting gear change. So I'm very happy with this post. This was definitely a good read. I'll have it linked in the description down below. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you've enjoyed the content that I've covered here today. And if you want to make sure you're staying up to date, do hit the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.